Okay, so here we have the fourth assignment, and this is the largest assignment. So this one being worth 40 points, and it's due on the days of your final class, and it's an in-class assignment. And it relates to the presentation, the pitch that you give on your solution, your proposed solution to your industry partner. So it's the solution to the wicked problem and how you propose to solve this. And so it's a group assignment, and so it'll have various dates, but essentially it runs up until the very last class of this particular course, but the final date will be different depending on when your particular class is or when your online session is, okay? So I will read through the explanation and then break off and discuss each part of it. So the task requires you to consolidate the weekly studio learning, experimentation, reflections and discussions in addressing the wicked problem identified by the industry partner into a presentation about your solution. So the presentation is to last no longer than 10 minutes. So that's per group, okay? And so you'll take turns. The last class will be taken up with this task. So you must be prepared by the start of your last class to present. And so you will be timed. And as your 10 minutes goes on, your tutor will be marking you, your group, in a live sense, okay? So that's all you need to do for this final assignment. But obviously it's got quite a lot of points attached to it. So you need to, you need to rehearse it. You need to make sure it lasts for 10 minutes. We will cut you off after 10 minutes, okay? So if you've only got through half your presentation, then, that's a shame because you will have to stop, okay? That's a criteria of the actual assignment. So in your group, you will design an engaging and easy to understand visual presentation, and that charts your progress from learning about the wicked problem through the trials and experimentation process to the solution stage. So I just want to talk a bit more about that. So the visual presentation aid can be anything that you choose and perhaps one person in your group has access to. So it might be that one of you has a particular app that allows you to do mind mapping, or you might choose a good old-fashioned PowerPoint, or you might choose Prezi, or you might choose a web-based thing. It's really up to you because we don't get that presentation given to us afterwards. It's just what you use for your 10 minutes, okay? So it can be anything, and we don't need to have access to it afterwards, okay? So think carefully about what's dynamic, what's going to suit you as a group, and what you can use to actually visually supply your presentation. Now, if we think about assignment 3, which is the studio journal, in that video, I talk about how important it is to gather as much visual, audio, pictorial evidence as possible. And not only to do your studio journal assignment, but to actually populate this presentation aid. So you want as many kind of bits of material and record keeping as possible so you can make something really sparky and really look wonderful for that 10-minute presentation, okay? So you put all of them together and you use them to really embellish how you're going to speak for your 10 minutes, all right? So, really worth making sure that everybody in your group is gathering. It's way better to have too much than too little in that respect. So in your group, you are to devise a script for the presentation. As I said, we will cut you off at 10 minutes. So you need to rehearse it, time it, take turns. It does say different members of the group are required to take turns presenting parts of the script alongside the visual presentation aid. It's fine if not everyone speaks, okay? It's fine, but it shouldn't be just one of you, okay? We're not going to give marks to individual people for the bits that they say. It's about the general quality of the presentation, all right? So you will be judged as a group. But it shouldn't be just one person speaking and everybody else just standing there mutely. Okay, so decide in your group well ahead of time who is comfortable to say things and who might say what and who can speak to different aspects. So how to organize your presentation. So you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 5 sections. So, you know, you could do 2 minutes on each, that's 10 minutes, or you might divide it up differently, that's really up to you. So you have to have initial ideas. So it follows this kind of a logical sequence. Initial ideas about the wicked problem, your first experimentations and ideas, so your first review process, which will take place in your classes, subsequent experimentation, hitting on a solution and then refining, and then the final proposal. Okay, so you need to kind of follow the sequence, the chronology of the learning and the development of your ideas and the refinement of your plans. And so these must be addressed through your presentation. And then on the last aspect, you need to show evidence visually of the prescribed readings that you've referred to on the course, right? So this means to show that you've done that, you would have in the written text, however that appears in your presentation aid, some kind of citations, some references that are clearly obvious to us as an audience as we listen to you present. Okay, all right, so the pitch, let's have a look at the criteria. The first one is on the design. So the visual presentation aid is well designed, so important, because if you can imagine, if your visual presentation is hard to read through, the audience is going to be doing that rather than listening to you. And it shouldn't fight with the speech, okay? So don't load it up with paragraphs and paragraphs of text, because what humans like to do is they will zone out of what you're saying and they'll start to read what's on the wall or what's being presented, okay? So think carefully about maybe just some brief statements or things that you are prepared to read to or whatever. So think about the design and how that will... you don't want to take the attention of the audience away from the key things that you're talking about. The two things need to work together. So each section of the visual presentation is easy to read and understand by an audience. When I say easy to read, I mean like look at pictures as well, or animations or videos or whatever. Okay, so and if you're just on videos and animations, if you've got a 3-minute video, that's an incredibly long time for everybody to sit still and watch, and that's 3 minutes out of your 10 minutes. So think very carefully about, I would organize videos of maybe 20 seconds. That's it. Any kind of audio or kind of video-based, time-based media, make them really short and snappy so they're not taking too much time out. So the visual presentation, to get the top deadly points, is presentation is of excellent quality, established through consistent, clear design that is easy to read from a distance, and through inclusion of all the required sections. Okay, so you need to think very carefully, don't just bung it together. Member participation. Each member of the group presents to the industry partner. Very important that you're all there. Not all members of the group are required to speak, but all members of the group must be part of the presentation. So if you're a person who feels desperately uncomfortable about speaking, what else might you do that is active, so that you're not just kind of standing at the back like one of the security guards? So how do you become an active member of the presentation if you are if you're not going to speak? So you might be physically demonstrating something, you might be working a kind of object, or you might be kind of showing something or holding up a banner, or be dressed in something, I don't know. So you can think about that creatively. So to get those top deadly points, Each member of the group is present and actively part of the presentation to the industry partner. The group presents to a high level of professionalism. Now that particular criteria, it either has super high points or the gammon low points. And that's because you're either there or you're not. Now, if there are genuine reasons why some of your team are not there, that needs to be presented via documentation, like absence documentation, and approved. Okay, so it's just not okay for just to not rock up. Sections. Presenters address all the required sections and the visual presentation aid. So it's not only spoken about, there is a clear kind of navigation to help the audience understand that, oh, the next section is now being addressed. Okay, simple things like headings or different colorways or whatever. Annunciation. Rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. Okay. Often when we're nervous, we speak very quickly and we sometimes mumble. It might be that we speak English with different capacities. Okay, so that's all fine, and it's certainly not going to disadvantage you. But if you're a nervous person and you're speaking too quickly, then try and slow it down, and that is really helpful with rehearsing. So if you need prompt cards, if you need, yes, you know, like there's different things that you can use. I would really caution against reading off a script. It's not a dynamic way to present. But what you can do is use prompt cards to make sure you cover all the points. But just talk. It really is the best way to do it. And so don't overload your need to say lots of things, but choose carefully what you want to say. Rehearse it. You've only got like a few minutes, okay? So 10 minutes is not a long period of time. So you don't need to overload with lots and lots of information. Literacy. So the visual presentation aid contains text with good literacy and grammar. It's amazing how many times some people will not pay attention to that, and there are spelling mistakes or poor grammar or whatever. So do check and edit your literacy and grammar in your presentation aid, whichever platform you use. And then make sure that you stick to the 10 minutes. Again, you will get full marks for sticking to it and minimal marks for not sticking to it. So that's a big lot of marks to possibly lose, okay? And that really can be perfected through the rehearsal, okay? So those two final ones are, the enunciation and time, they are ones that are either there or you get, you get top marks or you get low marks, as same as the member participation. But just to re-emphasize, if English is your additional language, or you have genuine kind of concerns about your capacity to speak from memory or those kinds of things, then they are certainly, you're not going to be disadvantaged from that. That would be very discriminatory, and that's not something we are interested in doing. Okay, so but there's a difference between somebody being prepared and showing quite clearly that they've rehearsed and somebody just rushing in and doing it last minute. Okay, so that's what we're going to look for is the preparedness and the rehearsal of that work. And so there's nothing to submit in terms of this assignment. You basically turn up and do it, and then the marks will be awarded, and you will get you'll get written feedback as well. Okay, so but that it's turn up, do it, and get the assignment finished. Okay.